Appointed by Upland City Council as city manager in October 2021, Michael Blay brings more than 25 years of public service experience to the community. Mr. Blay served with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department for 20 years, then later as assistant city manager with the city of Hesperia. Michael's experience in the public sector is complemented by his roles in the private sector, which have helped him develop a dynamic appreciation and understanding of the importance of superior customer service. Michael Blay, Mr. Blay, values responsibility, collaboration, and community engagement and seeks to foster these values in municipal government. Michael's rich and varied experience makes him uniquely positioned to step into the city manager role. Originally from Claremont, Michael is a graduate of Claremont High School, as well as a Cal Poly Pomona, graduating with a Bachelor of Science in Business Management. Mr. Blay received his MBA from Mississippi State University. All right, round of applause for Mr. Blay.
Thank you so much for having me today. You know that I appreciate each and every one of you housing your business in the city of Upland. We are grateful for our business community. We could not thrive without you. So I just wanted to start by saying that. I've been city manager since November, and as I getting my head around everything that needs to happen to make this truly the city of gracious living, I was cleaning out my desk early on, and I found 3 financial workout plans drafted by very smart previous city managers. The earliest one was 2001. There's another one, I think, from 14, and then another one from 18. These were drafted by very smart people with good ideas. They took most of the good ideas, and they've done them already as far as managing this city. A lot of it included outsourcing some of our activities, the library, lots of public works jobs, annexing our fire department. Gotta remember to talk into this a little bit better. And these workout plans reflected the current state of the city today. And so as I thought about how we're going to move forward, because frankly, you know, that bio you heard, it's on the website, that's where she took it from. But superior customer service is important to me, and we are not providing that for you today. We can't afford to. We are providing you the level of service we can afford. And it's as best as we can do. We're giving it our all, but it's not superior customer service. And so some of the things that I wanted to do was bring together let me get my, right over there. The clicker there. One of the things I wanted to do, because I do value the private sector for their innovation and work ethic, is I wanted to see what our citizens and our business community thought we could do better and how we could do better. Government typically follows the private sector when it comes to innovation and doing things because the private sector does it better than us, frankly, in a lot of areas. And so I convened a panel. You will recognize some names on there. I wanted to get a diverse group of people in this community who are stakeholders in this community, business owners, residents, to advise me on how to best move forward. Like I said, a lot of the good ideas for saving money in the city have already been taken. The city's been cutting services for a number of years to balance the budget. And one of the some of the documents you've got in front of you, there's a couple of graphs, and people wonder, you know, where are we at? I pay a lot of property tax. If you bought your house recently, you pay a lot of property tax. Where does it go? If you can see on that chart, it tells you where it goes. The city of Upland gets 9.3 cents per dollar of your property tax. So if you recently bought a $1 million house, your property tax is 1%, it's $10,000. The city of Upland gets $935 of that, and the rest of it goes primarily for education and then other sources. So that's kind of how we're starting to get where we need to be. So we're more and more reliant on other forms of income in order to provide the services to the city. And so I wanted this committee to turn over every rock, to look under the seat cushions for additional sources of funding. And she's sitting right over there. She did exactly that with this group. So we had a series of meetings, and they were informational meetings. I provided each of them with the 3 financial workout plans that I found in my desk, and shared them with them, as well as our current state of our budget. We looked at, it was 2001, a 13 workout plan, a 16 workout plan, the 19 grand jury report, and then the 2022 budget. So I put them to work. They had a lot of homework. The book was quite thick, and we dove into it. One of the things that we did after looking through the ideas that had previously been taken was to put up 2 whiteboards and say, hey, on this whiteboard, let's put everything the city can do to be more efficient and to save money. And on this whiteboard, let's put everything we can do to raise revenue. And then I left, myself and Stephen Parker left the room because I didn't want to influence the decision in any way. I wanted these private sector, private citizens, business owners to come up with some ideas. So this again is some of the things that they've looked at. We have a significant issue with employee turnover in Upland. Frequently on the exit interviews, we're told they're leaving for cities that pay better than us. This past year, since last July, we've lost 54 employees for various reasons. That's about 22% of our workforce. And so we're constantly training and replacing as our police officers go other places, our public works folks go other places. So we looked at a compensation study that was done on the police department, and sure enough, they were in last place of a total of 7 surrounding communities. So it's not just talk. We were actually diving into the numbers and seeing what we can do to get better. So some of the efficiency items and savings that the committee came up with was to renegotiate some bids of our vendors. Many of you are likely unhappy with the current state of the landscaping, and it was even pre-drought that our landscaping contractor isn't meeting our specifications. And so how about renegotiating that, combining some functions with other cities, maybe outsourcing some more functions. We've outsourced a lot of things so far, but is there more to outsource? Increasing the retirement age, that was one of the things the committee came up with. That was actually done by the state for all cities back in 2013 with the new, they call it PEPRA, pension benefits for anybody hired after 2013 are much lower than those fat cats that got hired before 2013. So that was already done. And many of our employees now fall into that category, and it's driving down our pension debt. Now we have some items of revenue suggestions. And so again, I told them, put anything up on the board, no matter how popular or unpopular it could be. Throw anything up there, spitboard it. And so the cross next to it means that it was considered, but ultimately decided not to move forward, either because it didn't really move the needle on revenue, or it would be too difficult to implement or unpopular to implement. So you can look at some of those things. I won't read all of them. A parcel tax, that was attempted, I think, back in 2020, and the voters soundly rejected it. Parcel tax, it impacts only the property owners in the city. No one else shares in that burden other than the property owners. Cannabis sales tax, cannabis is currently prohibited in the city of Upland. And so that made that kind of a moot point. Utility users tax in Rialto generates quite a bit of money, about $11 million a year. But the committee thought, hey, we're taxing people on the necessities. The internet, their gas bill, their electric bill, their phone bill. And it seemed, frankly, un-American, right? I mean, we're going to tax people based on the things that they need, to live. And so the committee soundly rejected that, but they thought about it. They considered it. They pondered it, because I wanted them to look at everything that was possible so that we didn't miss any opportunities. Some of the items that they considered and then supported. Not all of the items that they considered, you saw the 8 committee members, wasn't unanimous on all of these with a green check, but it was by consensus or majority that they supported them. A business license tax is the tax on gross receipts of any business. As you may be aware, our business license tax is capped at $1 million of gross revenue, meaning that Walmart pays the same as anybody else who grosses $1 million. I think it caps at about $853. And so there was some thought to maybe do we raise that $1 million threshold that was in the past so that those businesses that generate a lot of income, Lowe's, Target, Walmart, maybe pay a higher share. Their business licenses cost more than yours if you own a smaller business. Anybody own a business bigger than Walmart here? So it's safe to say Walmart would pay more than you. All right. And so that was an idea that the committee supported. They also supported the bridge development project for its funding sources. They really supported reviving the downtown community. And some of these also too were dipping into quality of life as well. And while we tried to stick on revenue, the committee couldn't help themselves, being residents, from saying, but this also adds to the quality of life, right? And so any new business that comes into anywhere in the city, we get our 1% of the sales generated from that business. And so it was revive downtown and increase the gross volume of business here in Upland. And the committee thought it'd be a good idea to have some events. Everybody go to the recent Lemon Festival? Have a good time? Yeah. It's nice to have that back. That was one of the things when I got brought in November that I wanted to make it a priority. We haven't had it for a couple of years, and I wanted to bring that back. And so I hope you had a good time and enjoy it. It doesn't move the needle again that much on revenue, but it's a quality of life thing. It's a community identity thing, and it makes people aware of our downtown. So I think all in all, it brings a lot of benefit, not necessarily financial, but the committee liked it as an idea. Committee also liked the idea of a 1% transaction tax, sales and use tax. They felt that this was a little bit more fair way to spread the impact of the tax to not necessarily just burden Upland residents and business owners, but anybody shopping or purchasing anything in Upland, passing through, on the 210 freeway, buying gasoline at Arco. No matter where you live, Upland's going to get that tax revenue. And that Arco, by the way, is one of the highest grossing Arcos in the nation. One of the 210 at campus. So we're glad. I like gas stations right near freeways because people get off, they spend money here, and then they get back on and get out of town, and they don't use up our services, right? They don't need our cops, they don't need our firemen, they don't tear up our roads. So I like it. So gas stations near the freeway, good. But that was one of the ones that was attractive because it moved the needle the most. It's estimated to be about $15 million annually by taking up the sales tax by 1%. Increasing sales tax total, again, that's on new business generated. And we have a business and attraction group, Bob Dahlquist's group, because many of you have worked with them in development services, just trying to bring new business, the fruits of which are looking right now like Tesla. Tesla has pulled their building permits, and work is being done on the old CNC building up on just north of the 210 freeway, and we are very, very glad that they're coming. Now, there's still a brief window where they can opt out of their lease, but they've designed tenant improvements, they've pulled permits, and they're working on them. I think they're coming, and that will be So that's the kind of business attraction that really does move the needle. Any kind of car dealership, but especially a Tesla dealership, will do wonders for the bottom line for this city and allow us to just increase that level of service that I'm talking about, that I want us to be able to provide. Monetizing assets. So the city has land throughout the city that we own, that we get approached by cell phone companies. They want to put a tower somewhere, or they want to put a billboard somewhere, and they pay us to lease the land. It's not always that popular, depending on where you live. If the cell tower is kind of hovering over your neighborhood. So, but it was one of those things that on a case-by-case basis, depending on the location, that our committee, our panel felt was important to consider. And then they also talked about hotels. What they wanted us to do is bring more hotels. The tax is already in place. We have a 10% temporary occupancy tax, a TOT tax on hotels. Currently, we only have one open. I think we're about to do a grand opening on the one that's getting remodeled. Is that a yes? Okay.
They're actually here.
Oh. When are you opening? Okay,
This is the Sure Stay.
and it's gonna be branded as what?
It's the Sure Stay.
Sure Stay.
by Best Western.
Okay, we are glad you're back. That will give us 2 hotels in the city. And people that stay, again, oftentimes from out of town, they pay a tax. On the theory that while they're staying here, they are using city services, okay? They may have need for police, fire, ambulance, certainly using our streets. And so that tax is common in all cities. It's common everywhere. So the discussion turned to, on this sales tax, who else is doing what? And would it drive customers maybe to other communities to shop? And so we took a look at a sales tax map. You see us up at the top in black. We're currently at 7.75. So the state sales tax is 7.25. SBCTA, San Bernardino County Transportation Authority, the ones spearheading this the 10 freeway work, way back, I think maybe in the 90s, got a 0.5 cent sales tax for regional transportation projects. And so that's what kicked everybody in San Bernardino County up to 7.75. As you look clearly to our west in LA County, their transportation authority has tacked on some taxes, and some cities have also tacked on sales tax. Glendora and Laverne being the highest at 10.25%, so 2.5% above Upland. Down just a little south of us, Montclair, they have come to their voters 2 different times. They have a total of 1.25% additional sales tax. So all cities get 1% sales tax right off the bat. Montclair gets another 1.25, bringing them to 9. The source of majority of their revenue comes from the Montclair Plaza. It used to be called the Montclair Plaza. What's it called now? Montclair Place. Montclair Place. It shows how old I am. I used to go to Montclair Plaza when I was a kid. Good place to hang out. And then, if we look to our neighbors to the east, San Bernardino is up at 8.75, as is Redlands, and then down at Riverside. Our friends in Rancho Cucamonga are the same as us, and so is Ontario right now, but Ontario's about to make a big announcement on August 2nd. I don't want to be a spoiler alert, but the city of Ontario is going to be placing a 1 cent sales tax measure on their ballot for their voters to decide if they want to approve that. We've done surveys. A number of you may have taken our surveys asking people, what are your priorities? If we only have the money that we currently have, what do you want us to spend it on? Or if we maybe get a little bit more, what do you want us to spend it on? And we've done, I think, 3 surveys, Stephen, is that correct? And it comes back almost the same every time. Public safety and infrastructure. Right now, infrastructure is both of those items are very, very important to me. I come from a law enforcement background, so needless to say, I support our cops, and we need more of them. Our 911 response time, the national average, it should be 5 minutes or less if you call 911 for the police to get to you. I get stats from our chief every month. We're ticking up towards 8 minutes for a police officer to get to you. And so in a crisis, when you need the police, believe me when I say, because I've been, while I was a cop, saying, hey, I need more cops, I need more help fighting with a guy. 8 minutes feels like forever. It's like an eternity. And let alone if you're a civilian and you need that. So we got to drive that down. We got to bring that down. And our survey results from our citizens are saying that. They also want us to pave streets and alleyways. Can I get an amen on Foothill Boulevard and Arrow Highway? Wait, give me another street. I say Foothill and Arrow. Amen. Baseline. Where else? Benson.
Every alley in.
All right, I'm preaching to the choir. You probably have a busted up street in front of your business, I bet. Dave, in front of your spot, how is it?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
So everybody's come there.
Yeah, I'm swim. I'm swim. But so what we're hearing from the people is that's what they want us to spend the money on. And so council has received this information from the panel, from the committee, and has instructed me on August 8th, our next council meeting, a week from this next Monday, to bring forth a resolution for their consideration to place a 1 cent sales tax on the November ballot. They wouldn't do that if they didn't think it was needed. But also the theme among our 5 council members is, let's let the people decide. The city council does not have the authority to tax you. They're not placing a tax on you. They don't have that authority. They're saying is it important that we raise our level of service, we pave more streets, we hire a few more cops? Is it important enough to pay 1 cent more on a dollar purchase or $1 more on a $100 purchase? And let the voters decide. And then we'll know. So, come November, we'll either way, we will live within our means. If the tax passes, we will follow the will of the voters to invest in public safety and infrastructure. And
But you can't say that because it goes to general fund.
right, yeah. So what Eric is bringing up. If I tell you 100% of your money is going to pay for more cops and more streets, it makes it a special tax and it triggers a 2/3 vote, 66% have to pass, and that never passes. So it is a general tax. It goes to the general fund. I'll be perfectly clear. Thank you for bringing that up, Eric. It is. And so what it comes down to is, do you trust the city council and this city manager to spend your money wisely? And I pledge to you that you can. The sins of the past are the sins of the past. And this whole council and me are all due. And what I'm pledging to you is that we will spend your money wisely. With that said, yes, it is a general tax.
Oversight.
Yep. This tax would be subject to a citizen oversight panel. We currently have a finance committee made up of a couple of council members and 5 citizens now. It would be up for citizen review and also identified clearly in the budget each year. This is the revenue, say it's $15 million, and this is what we spent it on each year. So, but again, this city council is not trying to tax you. They want you to decide if you want to tax yourself when you purchase things, and improve the level of service and the quality of life here in the city of Gracious Living. I think that might be my last slide, and I will be glad. This is what the conclusion that the committee came up with. Really, the city has responded over the years by cutting in order to meet our budget. As a bedroom community, no one probably would fight harder for Prop 13 than me. I believe fully in Prop 13. With that said, in my role, you see what we get from a property tax value. I did a little trial run on a property here that was purchased in 1970 for $39,000. The house is now worth $1 million. It's assessed at $139,000 because that owner has never sold it. And so that's what Prop 13, it protects that owner, and that owner is a senior citizen, and I would not take that away from them. But what it does is handicap the city financially. And so the committee felt, and I strongly agree with them, that a more equitable way, rather than try and overturn Prop 13 or anything like that, is to shift the revenue to the sales tax side. There's not a lot left to cut. If we have to, we will, but there's not a lot left. Yeah, go ahead.
So you were talking about that tax for public works and police. I believe that the majority, like your survey says, the majority of citizens do want it. Why did, and you said if you made it a special tax, that it'd have to go to the 2/3 vote. You say it won't pass, but your survey says the majority of people want it. So why not send it like that rather than sending it to general funds?
Good question. Although the majority of citizens have said that that's what they want, the polling numbers are not in excess of 66% that would support it.
So it's not the majority.
This is the majority. Anything over 50% is the majority. So a general tax requires 50% plus one voter to implement it. A tax that says 100% of this tax goes to police and infrastructure would be a special tax. Yeah.
As a resident, this is great information for us to have education. How are we educating majority, the masses? Because unless the remainder of the city is sitting in a room listening to you or
Yeah.
actually attending
Yeah.
something that, people are working, they're not following your schedule, right? To hear you speak. How are you getting the word
Absolutely.
out?
Absolutely. It's information. And so once the ballot measure is seated, the city's hands are very, very tied as far as any kind of advocacy for this. But what have we found, and what I found with this committee, 4 out of 8 people that started the committee were anti-tax anything. They didn't want a sales tax, but once they read the 3 financial reports, they looked at our budget. This year's budget has a $2.4 million deficit. So when I said that we are underserving you now, we can't even afford to underserve you. We're filling that 2.4 million with ARPA money. That's one-time money that the federal government gave us for COVID relief. And some of the business rental assistance that some of you may be aware of, the new program, that's funded by ARPA as well. But that's one-time money, and when it runs out, it's gone. So what we're going to do from the city's side is FAQs, information. I will be able to provide information to people. I know what it sounds like right now, and probably closer up to advocacy for this based on the need, but it will be education. I've been contacted by a number of people that say, how can I help? And so that would be just citizens talking to each other, talking to their community, sharing what they know. Again, you'll know if you drive on some of those streets that need paving, it's about $1 million per mile of paved road to repave a road. About $1 million a mile. We have 210 miles of paved roads, 400 miles of sidewalks, 38 miles of alleyways that all need paving. So you start doing the math on us keeping up with this massive infrastructure. I don't know any other way to do it. I don't.
You publish some of these things in the city newsletter too, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, city newsletter, there's a webpage right now for people that took the survey, and they can see the survey results, and there's some information there as well. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
If we wanted to have, or not even just the chamber, but if we hear of concerned citizens or a group of people that would like to have someone come out and speak, whether a council member or you yourself, is that something that they can arrange with the city?
Yes.
But that's not something that the city can advertise they're willing to do. It needs to be.
It is, so if you clicked on to take the survey, it led you to a page, and it also said if you would like someone to come speak to your group, And there's I think it's the generic city manager at uplandca.gov. That's the email address, city manager at uplandca.gov. And absolutely. we can speak to this.
And Mike, we just can't speak about it from the depths, right? That was.
Yeah, so when I said we can't use city resources to advocate on behalf of the mayor and the council off the dais, the dais being during the course of a regular scheduled meeting, off the dais, they can give you as much information as you want. Also, our budget is posted on the city's website under financial documents, and it's there and it's fully transparent of where our money goes. General fund is about $50 million. This sheet right here, a lot of you have it on the table. 50 million is the revenue, and this year we're spending 52.2. So that's where that gap is, and we're filling the gap in the short term. But eventually something we'll have to give. The ARPA money will run out. The ARPA money was about $15 million from the federal government. It has helped greatly to fill some of these gaps. I can't say much more than that. We've got holes.
Mike, could you share with them what unfunded mandates do to the city also? Could you share how that impacts our budgeting?
Yeah, unfunded mandates, or anytime the state tells us to do something, i.e. Food waste recycling, you guys been getting all that information? So the state says, you gotta do food waste recycling, have at it. But it's not free. It's not free. So other things like for our police department, every stop they make, they have to fill out an information card on the occupants of that vehicle. It's in theory to try and identify cases of racial profiling. But what it does is it essentially slows down the traffic stops because depending on how many people in the car, it's about 3 to 5 minutes per person to fill out a form. And so that ties up a cop for 15 minutes on a traffic stop where he could have just said, hey man, you're speeding, slow down, man, be careful. All right, I'm on, and not even write you a ticket, but he still has to fill out that form. So these are some of the kind of what he calls unfunded mandates. This second thing on here, the blue area, this education revenue augmentation fund, ERAF, 1992, the state balanced its budget by transferring the responsibility for funding our school districts from the state to the cities and the county. So they took a large piece of what was formerly the city's share of property tax revenue. Susan, yes.
On the finance committee, you're telling us this finance
Yeah.
committee will also be, once if this sales tax does pass, they'll be kind of watching and making sure that things are going in the right direction. Who sits on that finance committee and how are those people picked?
Stephen, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so there's 2 members of the city council and our treasurer who are the electeds that are on that finance committee. And then the 4 districts, the council members representing each of those districts gets to appoint one. And then the mayor appoints one at large from anywhere they like within the city. And the advisory members aren't able to vote, but they are able to provide advice. And this oversight committee would actually exempt the council members from being involved. And it would be the advisory members on their own that would be getting information and providing advice that would go to council for consideration.
Anything else? I'm going to give this to, if not, I'm going to give this to Susan and she can wrap up really quick with her experience on the committee. Would you like to do that?
I did, shooting age, I did mine. So it's a lot of work. So I was one of those advisory committee people that was totally against any sales tax increase. I'm thinking, you know what, gas prices, my property taxes, I didn't want any more taxes, but once I took part in this, it was so, I learned so much. I mean, there really is no place else to cut. There's no place else to make additional money. Our law enforcement, I'm retired law enforcement, and I see the need. I, have stuff happening all the time around my building. People stole stuff from my building the other day. People trying to break in. I don't even want to burden them with the calls because I know how busy they are. They're paid 10% less than other agencies. They're the second lowest paid law enforcement agency in the whole area. What kind of message does that send to our police officers? They're risking their life every day. And this is what we're going to come up with. We're not going to, pay them what they deserve. We're going to keep losing officers. We're going to train them and we're going to lose them. I also learned that there's 210 miles of streets and sidewalks in the city of Upland. And there are 5 workers to handle all that area. 5 people. Doesn't seem possible to me. I mean, no wonder why we have potholes and, so forth. So I believe that we need this. I mean, we're $2.4 million in the hole. How are we going to get out? That's just my perspective as I own a business in Upland. I'm a resident of Upland, and I don't see any other way to raise those monies. Julie?
I'm not sure if you guys know this answer, but how much in revenue do you think this first year, the 1% will grant? Will you get the 2.4 million paid for and then some, or what are you gonna get?
Yeah, it would 15 million. So it would fill that gap and then some, so.
Who said that?
Are you a resident?
100%.
Good to hear.
All right, well, does anybody else have anything else to say about this information? All right, well, we're hoping that it gets on the November ballot and our city council will have it put on there, and then us in general, it's up to,
Potential sunset clause on that.
Yeah, it was brought up as, by one of the council members as a possibility. Frankly, are we gonna need it less in 20 years? Probably not. And so, the language that we thought of coming up with was until repealed by voters. So at some point, if voters, and they wouldn't have to even necessarily get a petition or a signature drive themselves. They just can elect 3 people that say,
can
I
you tell
don't
them what
want this
sunset tax,
anymore.
because I didn't know what that was.
yes, sunset just means the tax would exist for a defined period of time. But what we're doing is, I'll be long retired by then. He won't be the mayor by then, but we may be kicking a problem down to somebody in 20 years, 10, 20 years.
I just heard that was being talked about.
It was. It was, and sometimes it gives people comfort because let's face it, we don't always trust the government with our money, right? Especially a, never-ending supply of it. And so we felt that until repealed by voters was a better way to ensure the long-term health of this city rather than a 10 or 20-year sunset.
I don't disagree. I just wanted that to be out there.
Yep. It was definitely considered. We considered everything. Believe me, we've turned over all the rocks and all the couch cushions and everywhere.
All right, well, it never seems like the right time, right? It's never the right time to buy your first house. It's never the right time to have your first child. It's never the right time to do that stuff. Well, if this goes on and we don't get these monies, where's our city gonna be? I mean, really, inflation, everything else, paying people to do their jobs and keep us above water. So I'm for it, but it's all up to you.